What's up, everyone? Sunday. It's gonna have some fun today. Let's see what's new here. A lot of new stuff going on here. First of all, I'm able to drive again. I guess I was driving last weekend after my surgery and stuff. But I had Jerry Cantrell in here from Alice in Chains yesterday, which is amazing. That video will be coming out soon. And I got a couple big ones coming up here in the very near future. But Jerry was amazing. And then I went out to see STP last night and had a great time hanging out with the guys. And I went out to see Smashing Pumpkins this week and hung out with the guys, and that was unbelievable. They were phenomenal. All these shows, this was quite a week. Quite a week. So I'm really, really psyched about it. I think it's just great to get out and see these bands that have, it's funny. I love all the bands from that era, and you think it's like, oh, well, that's the era that I grew up. But I actually grew up in the 70s, because I'm the same age as all these guys, pretty much. Maybe I'm honestly a little bit older than these guys are. Billy's probably 50. He's in mid 50s or so. But I'm pretty much the same age as all the guys. Jerry Cantrell. I think Jerry is a couple years. He's probably 3 years younger than me, something like that. Chris Cornell, if he were with us, I'm going to talk about Soundgarden today. Chris was born in 64, so he's 2 years younger than me. I believe he would be 60 right now. We're going to talk about Black Hole Sun, because I want to relate it to this video that I did this week about these songs that are, these pop songs that use similar melodies. But talk about interesting comments about the 7 notes there are. Yes, songs sound the same because they have all 7 notes. And but to understand this stuff, you have to understand a little bit of music theory and why this is why I think that some of this is not really it's not true. It's not true that things need to be limited to these 7 notes, because obviously there are 12 notes. Aaron just pasted in the Labor Day sale. So I've had this on sale since last week. There's today and tomorrow. There's 1 day and 7 hours left in it. It's all 5 of my courses. It's the Labor Day Mega Bundle sale that I'm not going to offer again after today. It's the what's included is my Beato book interactive that has it's my theory course. That's got the 500-page interactive book, meaning it's a video course, but it's a video music theory course. My ear training program that has 80 video lessons. This is a video course with hundreds of interactive training modules to help you develop your ear so that you can figure out things like I'm going to talk about right now. Then there's my beginner guitar course. If you don't play at all and you want to learn to play, you can use that. Quick Lessons Pro is a more advanced video learning course. All these things have tablature that the guitar courses do, and guitar profiles and stuff like that. And then there's my Arpeggio Masterclass, which is my latest thing. So all these are $119, which normally would be $586. And this is the only ad I do on my channel. I do it on my live streams. It's how I keep the channel going. And it's a way I developed these courses, some of them, but long ago, like my theory course when I was teaching college. And then I developed the ear training course with Aaron. Oh God, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And it was based on me teaching ear training, because my channel started because I had this massive viral video on Facebook with Dylan, and so many people wrote me, how did you teach him this stuff? And you can't teach perfect pitch, but you can teach relative pitch to be able to figure out things like we're going to do right now. As a matter of fact, so that's on sale through tomorrow. The verse part in Black Hole Sun, honestly, I've never thought about until right now. I would play the song on here, but it's a quarter step out of tune, and I want you guys to be able to play along for those of you that are guitar players, or if you play these chords on piano, I want you to be able to play along with a video where the guitar is in tune with your keyboard and not have to listen to the quarter step sharp version of Soundgarden. So let me talk about the melody and why it's so fascinating that this is a great example of using all 12 notes or melodies that go to different places. We don't have to have popular music. Black Hole Sun is a massive song that is a standard on radio. It always will be. It has been for 30 years. It shows that people can become familiar with songs that are massive worldwide hits and that are also use all the notes of the scale and change keys and do all these things, which we've seemed to have lost the ability in pop music. A lot of people will take things from the 70s or the 80s or whatever, borrow the choruses, and use the hook lines. They all stay in one key, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about the intro of the song. So I wrote out the intro right here. These are the chords in the intro, but the verse is actually a little bit different than the intro. I want to talk about the notes that he sings in the melody and the notes that he plays on the guitar because they're actually kind of weird and cool. So he starts out here. That's a G sus4 chord. That's a B flat 6 chord. Okay, now it's weird that a song that's a massive worldwide hit starts on a sus chord with one guitar. Then F5 to E5, those are power chords. Then he goes to E flat sus4. So those sus chords are mysterious sounding. These are the things that I tell people to look for. When I talked to Jerry Cantrell yesterday, we talked about Alice in Chains and how Jerry could write songs like Them Bones that are, like, how do you think of writing a melody over that is a chromatic chord progression? And it's amazing. If you think about these Alice in Chains songs that use these really hip things that are not just run-of-the-mill, chord progressions that you've heard a million times, that you're really limited in the note choices. Because that's the thing. People are like, oh, well, Rick, you're limited in the note choices. That's why all the melodies sound the same. It's like, well, write melodies that sound different by using different chord progressions. And right here in the intro, you have... I mean, right there you get 3 chromatic chords in a row, right? And he plays. And goes to this D7 chord. It's like D7, but there's no F sharp in it. But then the verse starts, and the bass notes are the same. You could go, in my eyes, do-do-do, 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 do-do-do. There's your first note that's out of key from the rest of the notes, right? Perfect. Oh, beautiful shape to that melody. But what is he doing with that, with the organ guitar part, right? It's this, with G in the bass. Then, so he's got an E minor chord here with G in the bass. That's a G6 chord. This is really cool. And then, which is the same chord as this. Then E minor, he's playing in place of that, right? It's got E in the bass. And then he goes, so he's on this chord, the sus chord, he's playing E flat major, then Then he goes to this D sus4. It's beautiful, right? Then he goes. Totally cool. Beautiful. E minor, that's G7, and then to A flat major. Now, you're not going to come up with a standard melody when you have chords that move like that. You just can't. If you come up with a good melody, it's going to follow those changes, which is why, you know, do, 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 do. That note, do, is the sharp 11. Beautiful. Really, right? Do, do, do. Major 7. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. First note that changes keys. Da, 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 da. Then, do, 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 do. And goes to the 9th on that. So the note choices here are really sophisticated. If I have a chord progression that is not just your standard diatonic chord. So let's just talk about this. Let's just talk about this part of this. When I talk about diatonic chords, what do I mean? This stuff is covered in the first chapter of my music theory course, and frankly, it's covered in my ear training course. So when you talk about diatonic, if we're in the key of C, I'm going to write down the notes in the key of C here, and this is C major scale. It's just all the white notes on the piano, right? No sharps or flats. Now, on each chord, there is on each note, there's a chord that's built. And use Roman numerals to analyze these. I know a lot of you that are watching on here, like Dean, know all this stuff, but I'll just write it down. It's always good for refreshers. So the 7 chords in the key of C major are C major is the 1 chord, D minor is the 2 chord, E minor is the 3 chord, F major is the 4 chord, G major is the 5 chord, A minor is the 6 chord, and B diminished is the 7 chord, okay? So I'm going to write these things. I'll write the chord names in. So now I've changed them. I've added the chord names right here. Okay. So if we group these, if somebody talks about a 4-1-5-6, these are the common chord progressions that you hear. So 4-1-5-6, 4 is F major, 1 is C, 5 is G, 6 is A minor. Well, first thing you do is you just take, what are the major chords in a major key? 1, 4, and 5, just like a blues. The minor chords are 2, 3, and 6. So those are the chords built on the 2nd scale degree, the 3rd scale degree, and the 6th scale degree. And then the chord built on the 7th scale degree is the diminished chord. You don't really use a diminished chord that much in rock. You did back in the 60s. The Beatles used diminished chords all the time. But really what you want to do is you want to key on these 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, and 6. Those are the chords that are important in major keys. So when someone says diatonic, they're just talking about chords that are just contained within the chords from the major scale. So all these pop songs that we're talking about, for the most part, only use the chords from one major key. Where I've showed you that Soundgarden, you can't even tell what the key is. It starts on a sus chord here, right? Let's say that it starts on a G6 and we say, okay, it's in G major. This stuff, Chris Cornell experimented with these things, although he said he wrote it in the car when he was driving, and he remembered it when he got home, right? And he wrote it down, he recorded it. I have a video on my Rick Beato 2 channel. That's really the story of Black Hole Sun, told through interviews I did with Matt Cameron, with Kim Thiel, the guitar player, I interviewed the producer of it, Michael Beinhorn. And then there's a little clip of Chris Cornell talking about this, about him him writing this thing, right? This is very sophisticated. You don't even need to all you need to do is look at these three chords here, right? And they're related chromatically. F, E, E flat. And right there, you know, okay, we have some chords that are moving out of key, which is why you start getting these melody notes. Da 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 do 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 do. You got that B natural, then you go do do do. That note gives you melodic interest and makes it sound unlike other songs. So now we're not in the diatonic realm. We've changed the key. This is a borrowed chord. Da 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 do 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 do. The shape of the melody is amazing. There's all these great intervals. We keep coming back to these things. Do 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 do. That's a pentatonic melody. Do 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 do. For the chorus and black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Goes to the ninth on that chord. But here's the interesting thing about the chorus. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash? You got, right? Sun, sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Beautiful, those notes that he's using, and they're amazing. Incredible melody that is not something that you just fall into by accident. This is a melody that you experiment for years, and you start to look for interesting chord relationships and note relationships. I mean, this is really just like the verse, right? These are chords that are really thought out and experimented with, right? If you look at these, we just had that chord, this F5, then we got E minor, then E flat, then D sus4. We just said this right in a row in the guitar part. How often do you have four chromatic notes in four chords in succession? Almost never. I'll tell you where you do. Now these, somebody said, what is the tuning? It's just drop D. Drop D, but as I said at the beginning of the video, if you try to play along with Black Hole Sun, you can play along with my guitar here because I'm in standard tuning, but drop D. But the original recording is a quarter step sharp. Okay, so don't get frustrated with that. But I never ever figured out the verse guitar picking part until right now. This is honestly the first time that I've ever played it was in the last 15 minutes here. Right? Now, I just think this is... And then... I mean, come on! You can write songs that get hundreds of millions of plays that are interesting that you don't need to steal from other songs. And this is are there other examples of this? Yes, there's plenty of other examples. Unfortunately, they're all from the same era or earlier. As we have moved on, I did a video where I talked about the fact that from 1965 until 2009. Okay, so let's talk about this here. From 1965, oh, my pen is getting really, to 2009, 25% of all number one songs had a modulation, meaning a key change. I'm not even talking about what is going on here, right? I'm talking like number one pop songs had key changes. 25%, a quarter of them, that is a lot. And when I say a key change, like think about Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, how it changes keys at the end a couple times, right? You know when a song changes keys, there's a modulation. That's a lot, okay? But since 2009, there have been zero. So since 2009, all the number one songs have been, what did we say here? Diatonic. Now, when you check out my mega sale here, mega bundle, Labor Day sale that's going on through tomorrow, I'm going to do another commercial right here. The first thing that we learn, well, we learn the circle of fifths, and then we learn intervals, because without intervals, you can't learn how chords are constructed, and that's very, very important. Chords and scales. Once you learn how a scale is constructed, then you can figure out how chords are constructed, and then you figure out how chords are related. So they're constructed and how they're related, and that's what this chart does. Okay. My mega bundle is my ear training course, my music theory course, which both start out with not only the theory of them, but the ear training course is how do you hear them? This Soundgarden thing is way more sophisticated. This is something that you learn later on after you really learn your intervals. My beginner guitar course is in there, my intermediate course, which is Quick Lessons Pro, and then my new arpeggio course. And why are arpeggios important? Well, I'll tell you why arpeggios are important. Because everything that I've played here is an arpeggio. This entire verse part. That's an E minor triad or an E minor arpeggio. Oh, I'm interrupting you, sorry. And that's a triad, A minor, that's a G minor triad right there. This is an F5 power chord, E minor, E flat major triad. Right? Triad and arpeggio are the same thing. Arpeggio would be just a triad or whatever it would be, just a broken chord, D sus4. My arpeggio course teaches you all of these things, right? And how they're put together and how they're played. But this is why the theory, so my sale's going on through tomorrow at midnight, all 5 courses. Eric just said something here. Get the 5 courses, I restart my apprenticeship. There you go. Got the 5 courses. Nice, Eric. That's awesome. Why do you want to learn this stuff? So you understand music. You understand what you're listening to. You know, when people say things, Jeremy bought the Labor Day bundle, looking forward to the arpeggio and ear training. That is awesome. What do you say? Arpeggio basics help me know the positions on the neck after neglecting for 10 years. Don't neglect arpeggios on the neck, okay? When I talk about, an arpeggio is a broken chord. So if you play a chord like this, that's a G sus4 arpeggio because I'm breaking it up. Now, you could play a G sus4 arpeggio like this, right? 1 4 5 1. Then you go 1 4 5 1. So those arpeggios are really the key. Learning those to learning your guitar neck. It will help you know where every note of every chord is. And that is really, that is super important. The sale is only going on until tomorrow night. I'm not doing it again this year. Labor Day sale. It's the only time I'm offering all 5 of my courses. So you haven't gotten any. This is a great deal. You're saving $586. Now, I can cite many songs that do this, right? That change keys like this. But there's very few popular songs unless you're talking about Radiohead. Radiohead has many songs. Karma Police, there's many songs that were hits of theirs that use chromaticism, that use borrowed chords, that have sophisticated melodies that people aren't going to steal, and they won't steal them because they're so original to those things. It's only when you have things that are when you stick to one key and you have songs that are diatonic, meaning come from the same key with no chords outside of it, that you start getting repetitive melodies. Because as people say, okay, if I only have D, G, B minor, and A, on the D chord, what are the good notes to sing? Well, D, F sharp, and A, the arpeggios, the notes of the chord. And E, da, is a good note to sing. Da, the sus4 is a good note to sing too, right? That's pretty much your note choices on those things, right? And then when you go to the G chord, you got G, D, B, you got G major triad. You can use the note A is good on there, and the same kind of you can use the you can use that sharp 4, right? You can use that sharp 4. That's a great note, and you go to the 6th chord, and you got you got B minor. Okay, so some people might say, well, Rick, you've got about 5 notes that are good notes to sing on each chord. So you start limiting your choices on these, okay? So I'm like, well, use different chords then, and then you don't limit your choices, right? If you start having chords like in Black Hole Sun, and you start here, you start on a weird chord, right? Or you start on I talked to Jerry Cantrell. He has a song on his new solo record, and that's the first chord of the song. And these guys just experiment till they come up with something cool. One of the problems with when you have 9 writers on a song, on a pop song, the more people you have, the more consensus you need to have, right? And the less people are going to be, oh, that first chord's too, don't go to that G, whatever that chord is, that dissonant chord. That sounds too weird. No, that's actually what makes it sound interesting and not sound like other songs. Somebody said Dancing Days. Exactly. Right? I did that sharp 4 on there. So if you don't want to sound like everyone else, do something that other people aren't doing. Somebody said, Kevin says, The Fly by U2 has a great riff. The Fly is a great riff. I agree 100%. The Fly by U2, it's the first track. Well, it was the first single. It's the first track on Achtung Baby. I think, is that right? I think it's the first track on there. And it's an amazing song. And I don't want this to go by without saying that I am super pumped about the Oasis reunion. And my brother John called me this morning, and one of his friends wants to go. And he called in or got on the website, and he said, this is great. You're 384,000th on the list to get tickets. That is amazing. 384,000 people ahead of you, right? That's I just thought that was that was pretty incredible. That is amazing. I know. I'm hoping that Oasis does a couple of dates here in the U.S. Even if they do, they should do like New York, Atlanta, and L.A. How's that? Is that maybe Chicago? But they should definitely do Atlanta. So if you guys are out there, whoever is putting this together, please do an Atlanta date, because I love Oasis. and would love to see them again. I've seen them multiple times. They're amazing, and I can't wait. I'm so glad that they're doing this. So that's it. I wanted to say today that you don't have to be stuck in these ruts of like on my last video I did where I talked about these viral videos that go around where people compare songs and this interpolation thing. Some people are like, I can't believe you never heard of the word interpolation. It's like, I've heard of the word interpolation, but I was just reading what the definition that I clicked on was there. It didn't mean that I've never heard the term before. So love to know your thoughts. Once again, got some big things. This Jerry Cantrell interview that we shot yesterday. I'm really excited about that. You guys are amazing. I'm fully recovered. I see hello on here. Says glad to see you fully recovered. Yeah, I feel great. Really feel good. Been working out every day, and I'd say I'm probably 95% of the way back. I can't do any heavy lifting yet, but a couple more weeks and I'll be there. You guys are incredible. Have a great rest of your weekend. The Memorial Day sale. This is the urgency here. You want to get all 5 of my courses for this great deal? Click on another tab right now. Go to the store. This is the time to do it. You become a better musician. It supports the channel. I'm able to bring you all these interviews. I'm doing some traveling coming up for a couple more things that I can't talk about. I don't talk about them because I don't want to jinx them before they happen. I only talk about things. There's a mosquito in here. It's driving me nuts. Sorry. I only talk about things before once they've happened already. Once they're in the can. You guys are the best. Have a great rest of your weekend. See ya.